Hello, my name is Matt McGinnis. I'm from Period 6, and I will be discussing Robert Hooke. Robert Hooke was born on July 28, 1635. His father was a priest in the Church of England, so people assumed that he would succeed his father. Throughout his life, he was periodically considered to be in poor health. He attended Westminster School in London, where he excelled at foreign languages like Greek and Latin and Hebrew. He developed a passion for science while working as a chemical assistant and eventually working as an assistant to Robert Boyle, who was famous for Boyle's Law, dealing with gases. And people often think that Hooke himself was probably the one who did the math, which eventually proved Boyle's Law. He received his master's in arts in 1663 and eventually received a doctorate in physics in 1691. Following his graduation from undergraduate college, he began working in mechanics in the 1650s, especially with pendulums and watches. He became a scientist of the Royal Society in 1660, eventually becoming their curator of experiments. He was named a professor of geometry to Gresham College in 1664. One of his most famous works, his microscopic observations, were published in 1665. He was often known to be a jealous individual and was rather cold to his intellectual peers, especially Sir Isaac Newton, and he was very defensive of his experiments and his data, which he was also very, very proud of. In the fields of mechanics and gravitation, he's famous for his law of elasticity, which describes the tension when you extend a spring. He invented the balance spring, which allowed for the creation of portable watches which kept a more accurate time than those that were currently being used. He was one of the first who described gravity as an attractive force and was famous for his description as celestial bodies moving in straight lines until they were acted on by gravity, which is what creates orbits. Hooke is also famous in various other fields, most notably for his book in which he coins the term cell while he was observing a piece of cork, which can be seen on the left. He also was one of the first people to note that some part of combustion reactions must come from the air, and many consider that if he had actually continued to pursue this, he would have been the person to discover oxygen. He's also one of the first individuals to attempt to measure the distance from the Earth to a star other than the Sun. However, he did fail due to the inaccuracy of his instruments. He's also lesser known for his model of the human memory, which was one of the first to suggest that memory is actually a physical entity in our brains and not more of a soul-attached idea, an idea which later wasn't really observed until 1913. Other random facts about Robert Hooke: no actual portrait of him exists. All of the pictures of him in this presentation have been portraits that have been misinterpreted as being him. He was one of the first individuals to discover Jupiter's Great Red Spot, which is a massive storm that can be seen on the planet Jupiter. He invented what we know today as crosshairs on a firearm, which are what is seen when you look down the scope. He architecturally designed a sash window, which is a very common form of window seen in the bottom right. He designed the universal joint, also known as Hooke's joint, which can bend in any direction. He also only received 40 pounds when his father died, which he was expected to put towards an apprenticeship. His father believed that he would put them towards watchmaking, which he would eventually pursue as his career. However, we now know that he became much, much more.